It's 6 o'clock. We will call the committee of the whole to order. If the clerk please call the roll.
Mr. Hupkey.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. March.
Here.
Mr. Ham. Mr. Bowden.
Here.
Mr. Hack.
Here. Approve the minutes of the 8/28/17 committee of the whole meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, a motion to accept as presented.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Hack, seconded by trustee Hupkey.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
I think you were...
Oh, present.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bowden.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Thompson.
Right. Any public comment on any non-agenda item? Not, then we'll move on to number 5, Mary Thompson, Kay McKenna.
Mayor, I just will interject. This is the first stop in the TIF saga for the downtown. You all got a copy of the draft. It is exactly that, a draft. If there's changes to be made, if there's anything you want to see changed in there, now it's time to start working with that. And there's also a schedule that we'll be working on, trying to get to a joint review board meeting, and I'd like to have the TIF entirely wrapped up before the holidays. Okay, Mary? I didn't tell you that.
And she looks happy.
Pretty aggressive.
Yeah, well, we want to get it done because, don't forget, we got the grant from the Realtor Association. We're going to spend that money by the first of the year to get that all taken care of. So.
I did kill a tree or 5 years. So.
Probably last year. Thank you.
It's okay. Give you another.
Okay.
Sir?
Yeah.
Oh, ahead of you.
Oh, you see? You saw what I was doing. It's all good. Saw what I was doing.
Ahead of you. So in the PowerPoint presentation, there are also some pictures, and I brought a set of colored pictures because obviously it shows better in colors. I'll let you pass those around. We're just going to briefly go through the process, where we are, what we're doing, obviously. This is the proposed TIF area that we are currently looking at. It was larger when we started. Thanks. And we whittled it down, mainly because, as you can see, the surrounding area still has a lot of residential. And what we're trying to do is, obviously, what you're trying to do is develop your downtown area. So the goals are fairly easy. As you well know, you're trying to develop this area in a coordinated manner. So I believe, Greg, you passed out the plan
Yes, the draft.
and the eligibility report?
Yes.
Yeah. It stays a draft until you adopt it, just so you know. So what we did was we looked at creating this TIF as a conservation area. There are a couple ways you can create a TIF district. One is blight, one is conservation. So the word blight has a horrible connotation, as you well know, and we'd rather not use it. Besides which, you qualify as a conservation area. The way you do that is that 50% of your buildings have to be 35 years or older. We get that. So we have 99 parcels, 69% of which are 35 years or older. So when you create a TIF district as a conservation area, what it means is that it is on the verge of becoming blighted. And you want to conserve the area and rebuild the area. That's what we want to do. Good, solid economic development processes. So we go through the qualification factors. When you're a conservation area, you only need 3 additional qualification factors in addition to age, is what I meant. When you're blight, you have to have 5. As you'll see, we have more than 3, and we're going to use them all because we want to be solid. So, by virtue of being 35 years or older, we have obsolescence. Yeah, I am moving around, I'm sorry. Because when a building is 35 years or older, you have HVAC issues, you have roofing, deterioration, all of that comes along with age. I'm definitely a little oversimplification, but if you read the report, we go into greater detail. Deterioration is pretty well shown on some of these pictures. For instance,
I already know.
you already knew? Okay. And when we do a TIF district, just so you know, it's not every single parcel that has to have these factors, it's the area as a whole. Very important. Inadequate utilities, we will have a report from the engineer. We know we have antiquated utilities here, storm sewer, water, etc. Deleterious layout. You have a mix mash, if you will, residential, mixed commercial, mixed to industrial. You would have never allowed that now. Which goes to the next one, which is lack of community planning. We are not saying you don't know what you're doing. We're saying that you didn't have a comprehensive plan in place when the area was built. And the big one, lagging EAV. We have 4 out of the 5 years, last 5 years, we have lagging EAV, declining. The Act says you have declining EAV, not keeping up with the village as a whole, which we also have, and CPI, all 4 out of the last 5 years. So we have all of those. So as you can see, we have definitely met the qualification factors. So I go through some of the pictures in here. I'm trying to keep it brief because I was told I had to keep it brief.
Wonder who did that?
Gee, I don't know. His name Greg?
I don't know.
So we're saying that, your utilities may need to be replaced. And what I do want to point out with a TIF district is that even though these are your boundaries for utility purposes, if you needed to run them out, they can qualify under that with those monies. And then we have the TIF plan. So the TIF plan basically is exactly what it says, a TIF plan. It does not replace any other document that the village has. It coordinates with those documents, in particular your comprehensive plan. So a developer comes in here, they have to go through the same process that they would under any other circumstance. What they're going to do, hopefully, is present something that you want to see built, rehabbed, etc. And going to say, but for some assistance, I can't do this. That's where the TIF comes in. It's a but-for incentive. And the TIF meets the but-for criteria as well. But for the TIF, this area is not going to get developed. We've shown that already. So the TIF plan has to have a budget. This is not an annual budget. This isn't money that you have to spend. A TIF can be in place for 23 years. So this budget is meant to meet that. $2017. And what happens here is that we set it at $18,550,000. $18,550,000. So you can't change that bottom line. You can manipulate in a good way all of the other line items there, as you can see, acquisition, preparation, utility improvement, rehab, interest costs, job training, capital improvement costs, etc. So you can manipulate those numbers. For instance, if you didn't need 4.2 million in utilities, but you needed another $1 million in site preparation, those monies can be moved around
Within the TIF.
within the TIF. This money is to be spent within this district. Other than what I just showed you before. I mean, look, utilities, if you have to run them out, we can do that. So that's what that other page says basically to it. This is to cover a 23-year budget. Now, you can end the TIF sooner. If in fact you've met all your goals, you've reached what you wanted to accomplish, you can end it. But it can last for 23 years. So our downtown timeline, as Greg pointed out, is a little aggressive. So all we need, if everybody is on board with the TIF plan and the TIF eligibility report, excuse me, is to get a legal description prepared. I work with your engineering company all the time, so it shouldn't be difficult. It's not a huge legal.
I've already forewarned them.
Good, okay. So what we have to do is place the documents on file for 10 days in the clerk's office, Madam Clerk. And then we go forward with the adoption of a public hearing resolution. That is what sets the time clock going in accordance with the Act. So we would set a joint review board meeting, public hearing, we would do publications, mailings. Every resident within 750 feet of the TIF boundaries will receive a letter basically saying, village is doing a TIF, you're not in it, but if you want to come to the public hearing, you can do that. The TIF Act says we have to do that. It's frankly the bane of my existence, but there is good reason for it. You know, if you were here, you were a resident here, and somebody was going to do a fat rendering farm over here, you'd probably want to know about it. We're not doing that. This is a downtown redevelopment. You know, what you want to see is facade improvement, developers coming in here, bringing you what you want to see, pedestrian-friendly retailers. Good, coordinated economic development. So you would adopt that, and there's also an interested parties resolution, being that this is your first TIF, you would have to adopt that. Now, Madam Clerk, you need to pay attention, because this falls on you. So you adopt this interested parties resolution, which is in place for 3 years, and we publish it, that you have adopted it. And what happens is, anybody can come in and ask for a copy of the document. They have to sign up for it, and the rules and regulations are attached to this resolution. So that can be in place for 3 years. It could be an organization, or it could be an individual. We also will call upon you when we do our mailings and say, can you please send us the list of interested parties? It's another one of the TIF Act rules. So then we send certified mailings to the taxing districts. You've probably heard the term joint review board. That consists of the school districts, junior college, township, village, and a public member, county. What am I missing? Fire protection.
Library, art district.
Oh, yeah, them too. They're separate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Any of the tax.
Any of the separate taxing districts. And those are the key ones that have a vote, if you will. They are an advisory board. Their job is to look through that eligibility plan and determine whether we've met the criteria. That's why I said we like to have as many as possible. So we have a couple people on the board, including you, Mr. Mayor, that have property within the district, the proposed district. So there's an option. If they can be donated out, those properties can be donated out, not donated, donated. So that's obviously entirely up to you. However, if you determine that you want to keep them, you can't participate in TIF benefits. And you can't be here anymore.
It's my way out.
No.
It's not forever. It's only for Tiffany.
And there's another trustee, I believe?
Trustee Jones.
Okay, so you have the option.
Why would I exercise the option?
Well, you can't participate in TIF benefits anyway. So why would you not want to? If you sold the property, you sell the property. It's not.
But if you donate it, if you put a donut around it, if you sold it, that donut still be in place?
Yeah, you still can participate in TIF benefits, so. Oh, yes, it is.
Well, so then why would you?
Yes, it is
make
still in
less
place.
valuable?
Yeah.
Because it does make it less valuable. Because that individual would not be able to participate from the acquisition standpoint, but certainly going forward with rehab or expansion, yes, they could. So we would have a joint review board meeting, and then there's a 30-day waiting period. They have 30 days in which to determine whether or not we met the criteria. If they say it in writing, we have the opportunity to respond. If there's nothing, the act says it's assumed that it's a yes. Then you have your public hearing. You have to wait at least 2 weeks before you can adopt the ordinances, and then you put the ordinances in place for the TIF. Simple, yeah? So I went through it rather quickly, I know.
You said that most of these, well, the max is 23 years.
Yes.
And if we would meet all of our expectations in 15, 16, 17 years, is there a benefit to go full term, to go that 23 years?
Well, if all of your obligations are paid, I mean, it's assuming that you have some. If you've met all your expectations, you probably do. And all of your obligations are paid, then there's no reason to keep it open.
Plus, you're gonna reinvest in some of the original infrastructure.
That's exactly what
17
you
years
would more than likely do at that point.
But what you have to do, absolutely have to do, is you have to, if you're gonna do that and go to 23 years, the last year you gotta spend, if you want, whatever's in the TIF for infrastructure and improvement.
You have to designate it.
Right, within the TIF, you have to designate it, otherwise it all goes to the state.
Pardon?
It all goes to back to the state. Well, it goes to the taxing district, but the state.
Goes back to the county.
Goes back to the county, and the county divides it up.
Right.
So,
And you can, sometimes you have an extremely successful TIF district. I'd like to think that this could be one. And you are negotiating with developers, and you've got your deals going, and you've got your roads going, and you're 10 years in, and you have a bit of a surplus, and you want to declare a surplus, you can do that. Again, it goes back to the county and proportionately distributed. As Greg said, when it gets to the 21st and 22nd year, you have funds that are not designated. If you have projects that you want to get done, you have to designate them in those years. Questions?
So getting back to if you have an ownership interest, but so I don't, but going forward, if I were to buy a property in this district, what would happen if I was still on the village board? Was that even possible?
You can buy it, but you can't utilize TIF.
Okay.
So one of the things that we show in the budget is acquisition. So that means if I own a property and some stranger comes in and wants to purchase it from me, but doesn't have quite enough money to do the project in its entirety, acquisition would be one of the things that the municipality could help them with. If you were to come in and needed it, we couldn't. If you were to come in and needed rehab, if you were to come in and needed site preparation, if you were to come in and needed anything, you can't do it.
What about if I was off the board? If I
Yes,
was
you
no
could.
longer- then I could, even though
Yes,
I
you could.
voted originally.
Yes, you
to do
could.
it.
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
23 years is a long time, you never know what's going to
I'm not here. I'm done. You're on your own. No.
I had some questions about, like, the
Please.
draft, this community background and stuff. I mean, where did they pull this from? Because there's some stuff that I don't think is factual, but, I mean, it's,
We actually just use a local resource, and
Yeah.
we're certain open to criticism.
yeah.
Be nice.
Well, first of all, they said that we have a quarry. Where did they? where did
Yeah,
I
it's
see that?
in the, you're the long one, not the short one.
Oh,
Draft.
right here. It says it's flanked by I-55, which it's I-57, and then it says it's home to one of the world's largest quarries.
Part of it,
Yeah, that's right.
it's mine.
Okay. And then this, who's Colonel William Fitzhugh Peotone? I've been living here, is that, did I miss that somehow?
Came from the library, it had to. I mean, it's,
No.
there's a document somewhere.
I'd love to get your,
I'm going to send it to you.
Your research for that.
I will send it to you.
and then the population, it says presently the population's 2338, which I don't think that's right
No,
either.
No,
that's not true.
41, 42.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
That's why we stamped that with a big draft on the front.
yeah. And then
Yes.
this, I think you meant West Street on the west.
I
or it's like on the east.
saw that the other day. I'm like, ah! I just learned those directions the
Yeah,
other day.
okay.
And Greg brings up a good point. That is why we say draft.
Oh, yeah.
And we can keep draft, we have to actually keep draft on the documents until they're adopted. However, once they go to the clerk's office, we can't change the boundaries, the external boundaries, and we can't change the budget. That's considered a substantial change, so we can't make any changes to that.
Where do the boundaries go so far?
That's a rail parcel,
Right.
and candidly, the county won't split it. And if they do, if you do require them to split it, it'll take another year. So we just say, okay. It's a railroad pin, which we obviously want in there.
So, because Mr. Jones, trustee Jones, and trustee Cross,
Mayor.
Mayor, I'm sorry, Mayor Cross are on the board, they're being penalized with this because of them being on the board, because of the votes, correct? Because they can't take advantage of these.
They can't take advantage of the incentive.
Okay, so if Mayor Cross, as trustee March was saying, if they're not, if they aren't on, then they can take advantage, even though it happens while they're in their office now. They could take advantage of these TIF, what is it, 3 years from now? Can't, no, all right, Greg sees where I'm going with this.
Ever, unless they sell the property.
See, and that's just not fair. But, okay, I get it.
Well,
That's just- I get it.
Here's the but for in that one, okay?
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago, you had some people sitting in positions like you did that benefited greatly by making TIF their own personal piggy bank.
Actually,
So,
that's
okay.
very, very true.
Okay.
This is a
And they changed the act because of
1999 change
Okay.
to the
Yeah.
TIF Act.
Yep. So
And
they
that's
changed-
what happened.
I've sat in a couple of TIF meetings, and so has Mary, where the mayor wanted to throw the TIF out because his buildings weren't included.
Right,
Seriously. So
right.
And to me, it's incredibly important to try to get this downtown.
Oh, no, absolutely.
moving forward.
I
And,
totally
I mean,
agree.
I would rather do it,
Yes.
now.
Yes,
And,
yes.
and be out of it myself, But I think a point that Peter made, why would I mean, if I don't donut my building out, then I just would not be able to participate in discussions, votes,
Right.
anything moving forward.
Right. And if trustee Jones opts to do that, to do the
But if we,
same,
because in the future, if we wanted to sell that building, we would be penalizing the person that wants to purchase that, or that would be purchasing that building, and they would not be able to participate in the TIF. But if we didn't donut it out and just excused ourselves from the conversation and the vote, then that building would still be in play in 10 years or whatever.
Correct.
That I wanted to sell the building.
But what I think is important too is that you explain the vote
the JRB
after
vote.
the JRB
Yeah.
vote.
So, the Joint Review Board, as I mentioned, is advisory. And we do ask them for a recommendation, and generally, we receive it. I believe we're on pretty good terms with the school district here, and that's obviously very important. However, if they find that they do not believe we met criteria, and they do have to prove it, we would need 3/5 vote from the board.
So 3/5 vote would be 5 trustees. So we would still have 5 trustees left.
Just gotta make sure everybody's here.
Right, no, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
just talking
Right,
out loud.
and that's where it gets a little tricky. I mean, if, somebody's totally against it.
Was it 3/5? Does it include you two in the total?
Well-
If you were allowed to vote? Is it 3/5 of 5, or is it 3/5 of 7?
I think it's 3/5 of 7.
3/5 of 7.
Yeah. So that would still be the 5.
Yeah.
We've had it before. I mean, we have. That's really one of
But if
the...
there was a third trustee that had property,
That would be an issue.
that would
It's
be-
tough. That would be tough.
So nobody buying property.
That would be tough.
Yeah. It's-
Anything else?
Yeah.
No, absolutely, yeah.
I apologize for the poor comments.
Oh, that's okay. I figured it was
Do you
just,
think you want one?
like, do some blasting,
Any other questions, concerns, thoughts?
The way of moving is quicker?
Well, I think we're moving it pretty quick.
Yeah, we're actually on.
Yeah, I think we're on a pretty good timeline.
We can't now because
quicker
of
the
the
better.
TIF Act.
Yeah.
We have to stay within certain parameters of the TIF Act. Yep, you're right. Yeah, that's
And
where
you're
the
better.
quarry is.
Okay.
Better off sticking.
Don't get me in trouble. Really? Did you do that?
Yeah, we did have a clay quarry.
See,
But it
that's
wasn't one
where
of the
that came
largest
from.
in the state.
That's where that came from.
largest in Peotone.
Largest in Peotone.
Trustee, in case, my email's on there as well. I only answer Cory questions.
Roy, to answer your question further, if we
Oh.
stick with the act and follow the timeline, then the public does not feel like it's being changed. That's important. And your taxing bodies.
Yeah, there's that 10 days, that 30 days, and then there's the additional 2 weeks, 14 days. There's actually 14 days ahead on the front end also. So we keep it there for 10 days. You adopt. We mail it, via certified mail to the Joint Review Board. We have to give them 14 days to review it. They did that, when they did that, no trustees can vote. Okay?
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very
Questions?
much.
No more?
Thank
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any questions?
Trustee Hack, I believe you have something for the committee?
Public Works garage that we bought on Ratchet Road. Going into it, we knew it needed a couple things that weren't gonna be cheap. The electric and the boiler for the heat. The boiler, I won't do anything with tonight because Bob's still getting a couple other prices. He's only had one of them show up so far. The electric, we had Strubar Electric and Excel Electric, both provide a bid for us. That was all updating both panels in there. There's a 480 and a 240 panel. All the lights, the outlets, the GFI outlets, LED lights outside, and the one garage door needed to be wired yet. Strubar's price was $21,000. Excel's, when you add the two together, which is the price at the top, the 11,236, and then you add the new service panels, 8480. Their total price was 19,716, so they were like $1,300 cheaper.
Who is that?
Excel Electric. So, and I talked to Bob. I haven't talked to Marcy yet, but Marcy said we had roughly 50,000 for all the updates in that building, which would have covered the electric and the furnace. So I still have to talk to her to make sure, but I don't know what you want to do with this. If we got to bring it back to board, or
Does that include the office, all the office area too?
neither one of these are the office, because when I was out there with Bob, he's still up in the air on what he actually needs to do to finish them. If it's going to be a drop ceiling, if they're going to re-drywall, because I don't know. Do you remember? Some of it was extension cord, some of it was conduit. I honestly think drop ceiling would be the way to go because you could hide everything. You don't have to redo it, and then you can use all the drywall that's there. So this is the big part to get them to where they can move out there. Even Bob said, he said that they can use the offices for now until we get to the next budget year and have some more money, but
So you said Excel is 19,716?
yes.
Have we gone to anybody else in town, like Livertor?
These were the only two that we got so far.
Do we know the people from Excel at all?
I've dealt with them.
Where are they out of?
Frankfurt.
If we choose to go with either one of those two without getting a third, could we ask Strubar if he could meet Excel, seeing that I'm very big on the local. I'd rather give it to somebody in Peotone than outside of Peotone.
And Mike has always done all the work here, so.
You could accept his bid as the most qualified bidder, even though he's high. I don't think in the bid process that you can go back and ask him to redo his bid, that's bid fixing.
Right.
So, but you can accept him as the best qualified bidder, using the local aspect,
Unless we go to a third one. And the other one that I know that's in town is Livertor.
They're not actually in town, they're out of Mokina.
They are?
Mokina?
I'm sorry. All right, no.
Yeah, one or two.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, I
They
take
live
that-
here.
Yeah, they live here. Okay, I take that back. Okay.
I'm sorry to use somebody, Mike Strubar.
Right, and as.
Yeah, I would
as,
rather use somebody in.
As Kevin said, he's done like 90% of the electric work here.
Yeah, he takes care of all the downtown lights, he's done everything for the last how many years, so.
So there's no.
And I think by getting that other bid, at least you're within 10.
competitive.
Yeah, you're within 10% or 8% or whatever it is.
We're gonna bid the price for the lights inside this building.
Yes.
He can lower
He-
his,
Well, what do you want to do with that one first?
Well, I think we do have to bring it back to the board.
Okay.
I mean, we have to act on it in open session. So I think it would be good if we could get the other prices for the boiler and then bring it all back for the next meeting, and then we can act on it.
Okay. And then Strubar also provided the bid for all new LED lights in the village hall and the boardroom. I don't know if Bob gave everybody copies of that, but it comes out to $4,100 to change everything out.
Because when they're changing all the LEDs, all they're doing is changing the ballasts, and they're leaving the fixtures, they're just changing the ballasts and the lights. That's all they're doing. Because we're having it done, we're doing it where I'm working, and all they're doing is coming through and changing ballasts and lights, that's all they're doing.
Didn't Edison have a program a couple years ago?
They did. I don't think, right now, we called Edison and there's just nothing there right now.
I participated in that too.
I did also before I ended up having to
Good
do
program.
everything again. Yeah.
It was almost free, wasn't it?
It was cheap. It was cheap.
That's all I got. We'll bring this back then.
Okay. Anything else for the committee of the whole?
So I was going to talk about public works. I missed the last meeting. Did we talk about the understory trees at all? Did you ever get quotes on those?
They're showing up, they're ordered. I think they're being delivered, I think he said October 1st.
Oh, okay.
So we need the addresses and knock on doors. And he said he's already got it lined up with Craig to dig the holes just like last time, so we can just pop them in and be done. But I think he said he ordered, I should have called Bob today. I think he said 12 trees, 12 or 15.
I thought you told me 12.
But it was 3 different species, so he mixed them up.
And all the understory.
Yeah. It's supposed to be October 1st. Kankakee Nursery.
Greg, that old Verizon store, bank, whatever you want to call it, that's looking pretty ratty.
Yeah, we've talked to them.
Got it.
That's the bank, and they're very uncooperative.
Which bank is it?
Charter.
Charter one.
And that's why there's been 2 businesses that have tried to go in there, and they can't even get to the lease floor with them guys, so. I don't know. They're doing some underground there, I don't think it's done. They did fix the door, took the signs down, but they weren't really careful the way they did it.
Well, the door still has a piece of plywood.
Yeah, they re-plywood it, so they did it.
But the landscaping looks terrible.
Yeah, I don't, to be honest with you, Mr. Trustee, I do not anticipate them spending any money on it whatsoever. And they're asking a ridiculous amount, so we heard that first time.
Well, if they go out of compliance, with any of our ordinances, we'll pursue it in that way.
Oh, guys, certainly.
Hello, how you doing, Ken? I noticed that the Second Street got,
Yeah, but it's still,
It's better.
it's better than it was.
it's better, but we're gonna allow we took pictures and we're gonna send them to the court. They're still gonna go through the process with the tickets, because they're not doing anything else with it. Let's get it in the hands of the judge. Let him he can decide whether we can proceed or not. But yeah, we have to look at that.
Anything else for discussion? Any public comment before we close?
I'm delighted. I've been so worried. I can't even know about the downtown here. I live so close.
No, right, no, exactly.
And I know who owns what now and who takes very good care of their property, and I know what's going on. And I actually ran into those men who own it, and I don't think they're gonna do anything. And I just feel, there's some people obviously who keep up their property and who do a very fine and above and beyond. Certainly Mr. Jones is yours. I mean, they're just knocked down gorgeous. And why can't the others be too? You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's what we have to strive for, and that's what we're trying to do right now, is to bring that back.
Mhm. offers so much to anyone who has businesses down there who will, when you go to sell, you know, it's worth it. I'm very, very pleased.
Well, thank you.
There was discussion on that at the conference, and one thing I found interesting, they said that your best bet is to throw the money at successful businesses that aren't the worst, to develop a base to grow off of. They say everybody wants to throw the money at the worst buildings, hoping to bring them up, but they said the smart money goes towards the good businesses that are established, gives them another boost to whatever, which I found interesting. My first thought is spend the money and make things look better no matter what, you know. Can TIF money be used to demolish
Yes.
property that's,
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yes.
it can be?
Yep. Demolition expense is part of, acquisition and demolition, so. Yeah, it gives the village quite a bit of, I'm sorry.
No, you're good, go.
It gives the village quite a bit of options that we don't have right now.
Right.
You know, acquisition-wise, if we feel like doing that, demolition-wise, facades, you know, it gives us options as the money builds up. Of course, as we build it up, the money builds up because your AAVs are going up, your taxes are going up, and that's where the increment comes from. You're reinvesting that. So you're not, what has to be made clear to the public is that when this project starts going and the taxes go up and the money starts coming in, it goes back into it. Doesn't go, you can't put it in your general fund. It stays in a TIF fund for use within the TIF. So it's not play money. It's real dollars going back and they're reinvesting in your future, to be honest with you. No matter what that is downtown, whether you hire a developer to come in and do a whole streetscape or whatever, I mean, that's money that you're reinvesting. So that's the but-for of a TIF.
Why is it that, you talk about an increased AVI and higher real estate taxes, and our downtown business district, the property values have really plummeted. I mean, not just off a little, but they've,
Right.
if you could find a buyer. But the taxes have not followed proportionally. In fact, they've continued to go up.
Exactly. I mean, I can testify to that.
And I own property in other states, and as the properties went up, the taxes went up, and as the properties came down, the taxes came down. And I'm not talking $50 or $100, I'm talking 25, 40%.
Yeah, that's your assessor.
So what goes on here?
That's your assessor.
That's-
Your AV is your equalized assessed value, whatever that is, okay? As you can see from our EAVs, they've actually been going down in a downtown. But the assessor has not changed the assessments. So when you have each taxing body that goes up, whether they go all the way to the tax caps or not, we don't, but some do, and they go up $15, $20, it's based on that assessment. So, yeah, your taxes could potentially go this way, while your value goes this way.
So how do you address that situation and correct it?
You have to get the assessor to look at the actuals. You know, people have to appeal their taxes. Now, the caveat in a TIF district is if we work with an entity on a building and we give them TIF dollars to repair the building, fix the building, build the building, destroy it, whatever we do, they cannot appeal their taxes. It's going to be part of the TIF agreement. It'll be part of the redevelopment agreement that we do with them, because that increment is where we're getting our cash to help them. You understand what I'm saying? So when we go and we establish the TIF, that day's equalized assessed value is going to be the base of the TIF. As it goes up, we're going to get the difference that goes back into the TIF. And that's the difference you need to make that thing happen.
Now, has that changed? Because I participated in a TIF in Mantino. It was fantastic. I got $30,000 to do the facade. They had matching funds. You spend $1, they'd spend $1.
There's a lot of ways to do that. Yep.
But my property taxes, I believe, also went down. I mean, it was unbelievable. I don't know how that worked. That would have been in the 90s.
And again, that would have been the assessor. You know, we don't assess property. We don't come up with the AAV. We get that number from the county and they get that from the assessor.
From the township.
From the township, yeah, that's your township assessor. So, that's the number, we can't make up a number. We have to work with those.
Because taxes were going up everywhere. Manteno taxes are substantially higher than ours.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and the taxes were going up, but our taxes in that TIF district, and I can't remember now, but they either stayed the same or,
Yeah, that's unusual, to be honest with you, especially with the improvements being made.
yeah.
Because I'm sure the assessor would have walked in and said, oh, you did, $90,000 worth of work, and now your assessment goes up, $15,000 or whatever, I have never understood how tax assessments work. To this day, I still don't get it.
Are we dealing with any type of a outside real estate consultants as far as to?
Well, now that we are dealing with the Realtor Association, and now that we've done the initial work, they're gonna start making some recommendations of, consultants and things like that. They're gonna help work on this to get some real estate.
Do we have any local real estate people?
We're all part of the association, so. They just gotta know what they're doing. This isn't just flip a property deal, right? You gotta have some development background.
It would be nice to see somebody local also.
I'd love to,
That-
they don't have a development
that,
background, Again,
I mean,
then we resaw Second Street 19 times. With no development. You know what I'm saying? That's.
local is, they've been here most of their lives. They know what's going on. They know a lot more of what, I think, in my opinion, if this is my opinion, of what the local people are looking for, what they need, what's been happening. And it's also good to have somebody on the outside looking in, also give their suggestions, but it would really be nice to see somebody.
I think
there.
having people that are both, worked with this type of a
Work together.
situation,
Yeah.
is a big advantage also.
Not just outsiders coming in and say, this is what you should have, and, oh, here's your magic, here's a magic wand.
I'm gonna tell you right now, there's no magic panacea for this downtown. Okay, it's gonna take a lot of work by all of us, and it starts here with this board and a vision, and then we implement the vision going forward. It doesn't take a realtor, it doesn't take a magician, it takes this board. You guys have got more experience than anybody in this downtown to come up with a vision.
We all need to work together.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's how we'll get it done. Because it's not my idea. But with my idea, we'd have a water feature in the downtown middle of the street right now. It's not my idea.
Great. Any other questions, thoughts, discussion?
Since this has been on my heart for some time now, because I've literally watched downtown go from being really nice and kind of cute and great and not so, and derelict. Okay? So it makes me, I have talked to my friends, people I know, who live in the area. I find that there's a disconnect between those people who live like I do in the, I'm in just a half a block away. So, there's a disconnect with people that live a little bit farther out, a few blocks the other direction. And I do mean just a few blocks. That they don't feel like there's nothing in the, downtown to go to, so they don't go. And so they have no idea how important it is for them as well as for the rest of us, that the downtown area be developed properly. And, is there maybe some way that we can reach the community?
Oh, that will definitely be part of this process, absolutely. It has to be. It has to be. We're gonna have to, once we develop the vision, that plan, we've gotta get buy-in, from the community. We can put a business, downtown, but if the community doesn't support it, it's not going to last. And that's, that's the cold hard truth. We need local people to shop locally and support local businesses. Anything else? not, a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Jones, seconded by trustee March.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Bowden?
Yes.
Mr. Ham?
Yes.
And Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. We will reconvene at 7 o'clock for the regular village board meeting.
Any questions?